Finding your purpose in life is so important. I never found myself and thought ultimately this is where I would end up, but being able to help people, that's where God has guided you to be. And there's been instances where people have come to me and they had no idea of what I did. And it's just the little conversations where they know somebody who needs the help. And then they know, hey, listen, I know you were meant to cross paths with me, and just timing sometimes. And they'll say, oh, you've been such a miracle worker. And at the end of the day, I don't really consider myself that. I get joy from just helping people and finding resolution.
What's up, everybody? Micah Smith here. I am your host of Rebuild and Rise. And today I have a very special guest, Amanda Wilcox. And here's what's crazy about Amanda. So when I met Amanda, it was at a networking event. And I did not know there were people out there doing what she does. And it is so incredibly important. And she is beyond personable, knowledgeable. She is just a wealth of information. And so I am so excited to have her here with me to talk about something that I think not a lot of people want to talk about, which is foreclosure. But I'm going to let her give a little explanation of who she is and her background. So Amanda, thank you for being here today, first of all. And if you can just tell our viewers as well as our listeners what it is that you do.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. For over 20 years, I have been assisting homeowners that are in pre-foreclosure. So what that means is any homeowners that are served a foreclosure summons, they're in arrears, they're late, they're delinquent, I should say, at least 3 to 4 months with their mortgage payment, and they don't know what to do. So what I do is I am basically a liaison between the mortgage lender and the property owner, and I negotiate with the lender a specific amount for them to settle on. So that's what a short sale is. A majority of homeowners that are in a short sale position, they are upside down with the property. So they owe more than what is owed. So I'm able to negotiate with their lender, get them to settle on a specific amount, and the homeowner can walk away free and clear. So it does reflect on their credit as a full satisfaction, as if they paid off that mortgage in full, and it's a way for them to walk away and have that credit restoration down the line, whereas if they want to invest in real estate, again, they can. There's been a very bad reputation behind short sales because I think that the knowledge behind it just has not been there. It is a very unique niche that people just don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. They will go and retain an attorney, mm-hmm. and they just feel like there's not many options. Mm-hmm. Maybe they should just walk away from the property. Lots of times bankruptcy is mentioned, and mm-hmm. they really can't afford to continue to pay on a bankruptcy. So once I'm able to meet with the homeowner, there is no out-of-pocket expense to them. Mm-hmm. They're already in a financial hardship, so I don't charge the homeowner anything, and I'm able to give them proper guidance, set up a plan for them as to how we're going to find resolution with the property, when we can ultimately sell it, how we're going to go about negotiating what's owed, and then they can walk away free and clear from the property. So every homeowner, it's different. They have different timelines. I've had people reach out to me where they have an auction within a week. So how I address each person is completely different. Their stories are different. Everybody is facing some type of a hardship.
Sure.
So I'm able to just focus on what's happening, what's going to be the best resolution for them. Lots of times there's children in the home. They want to finish out the school year. We're also going to have to look and figure out relocation. We want to keep them in a specific school district. Mm-hmm. So what is going to work best for that homeowner so they're not forced out and it's not resulting into, say, a sheriff's eviction where they're forced out of the property. So it is unique for every client, every homeowner that comes to me. I've been doing this for a long time. Back when I started doing mortgage origination,
I didn't
And
know that.
yes, and
What?
yes. And then back in 2006 and 7, when the bank started to go under, that's where I learned the back end and helping homeowners that were in foreclosure.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's, yeah, it actually started even like '04. And so I've been doing this for a long time, and there's always waves of foreclosures, and it's a nationwide epidemic that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel lots of times everybody just are very hush about it, where
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything to be ashamed of as a
Mm-hmm.
homeowner. Everybody has hardships and they
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to everybody, you can replace a property, a home. A
Mm-hmm.
home can be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find resolution. Let's make it most comfortable for your family, for your pets, whatever the case may be, so you can get relocated and we can find resolution so that your credit is salvaged and that you can purchase a home down the line so you don't end up with a foreclosure on your credit.
Wow. Do you remember your very first client ever?
I don't.
No?
I don't want to say I do because
Yeah.
when I started working on them,
Sure.
there was so many at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but there's just so many different stories
Mm-hmm.
that I could tell you, and some that really stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
Most clients that do homeowners that are behind with their mortgage, it can be a very emotional process
Oh,
for
yeah.
them.
Sure.
And that's where I'm just guiding them through what needs to be done, helping them in understanding with what's going on is most important. So to me, this is something I found a love for in helping people. And I was actually at that networking event that you did,
Mm-hmm.
and you had mentioned purpose,
Yeah.
finding your purpose. And I think that finding your purpose in life is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I never found myself and thought ultimately this is where I would end up, but being able to help people, that's where God has guided you to be. And there's been instances where people have come to me and they had no idea of what I did.
Yeah.
And it's just the little conversations where they know somebody who needs the help.
Mm-hmm.
And then they know, hey, listen, I know you were meant to cross paths with me,
Mm-hmm.
or and just timing sometimes. And we always say, they'll say, oh, you've been such a miracle worker. And at the end of the day, I don't really consider myself that. I get joy from just helping people and finding resolution because they are at a very tough time in their life. Most of the time, there's been a death, overall loss of income. If there was two households and now somebody has just lost their spouse, their world is spiraling down. And the last thing they're thinking about is paying the mortgage payment. So that's where I'm able to come into play and really just take the horse by its reins per se and help them.
Yeah.
And I always say, just think of it like a horse. When they're racing, they're not looking around. Let's just stay focused on what we have to do here.
Yeah.
And it's completely different than a regular home sale. So there's different things that you're going to be focused on. And sometimes the pictures are not going to be the nicest
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. Maybe we can't empty the house because of who's in it. Everyone is different. But at the end of the day, it always just brings me joy and peace in my heart knowing that I was able to help and impact that family who was at their worst point in their life. They were able to find resolution. And
Mm.
lots of times people, they're not going to be in a frame of mind to reach out to go and meet and sit with somebody. So just knowing that they can call me and just tell me their story because everybody has a story.
That's true.
And the biggest factors right now leading to foreclosure or pre-foreclosure where the mortgage falls behind is death, unfortunately, a loss of a loved one, a medical issue. If there's somebody that's been in the hospital and they were helping contribute to the household bills and now they're in the hospital, the whole family is at a standstill. They're going to the hospital every day. And again, they're not focused on paying the bills. Medical and divorce. Divorce,
Wow.
those are the three leading factors that lead up to the mortgage falling behind. And again, to just help find that resolution is where I have always felt has been my purpose in life. Makes me feel good to be a blessing onto others. And so that's why I love what I do.
That's so cool. I'm like literally thinking of all the questions because obviously like I have my questions preset because I think about you and what you do and I think you just answered like 10 of them.
No.
I'm like, nope, don't need to ask that. Don't need to ask that. Don't need to ask that. That was amazing. And that was actually going to be one of my biggest questions is what generally do you see causes people to fall and under such distress? Being that so much of what I do is I believe that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of what I like to talk about is people being proactive and not reactive. And I love that you are a person that people can come to, but is there a way that people can set themselves up where, let's just say, one of those three variables happens, right? You have a medical emergency, there's a death, God forbid, there's divorce, right? And these things happen every day. What can people do to prepare themselves so that they don't find themselves in this situation where they're facing a foreclosure?
Well, being proactive is very important. Not waiting until you have an auction date is key. So, to answer your question, if they start to receive, if they know that they're behind,
Mm-hmm.
now it's 2 months behind,
Mm-hmm.
and that mortgage statement is just the payoff is just growing, and they're behind and they don't have the means to pay it,
Yeah.
reaching out. The sooner somebody can reach out to a proper game plan for them. If there's a loss of income and they just know they're not going to be able to have the funds to pay it, again, same thing. The sooner you reach out, then we can be proactive and set up a proper game plan. Because once a mortgage gets anywhere from 3 to 4 months down and a foreclosure summons is served, the minute a foreclosure attorney gets involved, they're going to add another anywhere from say 15 to 20,000 onto the balance.
Wow.
So now you just went to being a couple of months down. Now you're going to be over $30,000 down.
Wow.
So that arrears, that amount is going to grow quickly.
Wow.
And so the sooner somebody is able to reach out, the better. And I always say to try and prevent it for any, I work a lot with first time homeowners on the other end. And I always say, always keep some form of savings because life happens.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to be prepared with a couple months of mortgage payments in savings so that, gosh forbid, if there is a medical emergency or if you're out of work, that you have that to carry you through until you set up a game plan. But the sooner somebody reaches out where we can set up that game plan and where I can intervene and reach out to the mortgage lender on their behalf, the better that outcome can be because you're being proactive. I really don't know anything, whereas if you're proactive, it's going to work against you.
Right.
So it always works to not wait. And I understand sometimes people, they do get so emotional. They don't even want to open the mail when it comes. Somebody knocks on the front door and they go to serve them and they don't want to answer the door because of that fear factor. And sometimes it is denial. But I always just say, listen, answer the door, accept the paperwork. The sooner I know who the foreclosure attorney is, the sooner I can help and reach out to them. So it is common. But what people need to understand is that there is always a resolution and there's somebody that I can reach out and I can help. And that's the difference. So I feel like there's a fear of the unknown because they've never been in this situation before. And they just think, hey, if I don't have the money, this is it. I'm going to lose the house.
Yeah.
And I do help a lot of homeowners remain in the house too. It's not always ending in a short sale position. If there's a homeowner that has lost their job for 6, 9 months and now they're back and running, however, they have those arrears with the mortgage, I'm able to then do a loan modification, negotiate with the lender, show them that there was a hardship, and now the finances are back and running. The income is there. So it's not always the end result with a short sale. But if there was a loss of income, I can help them remain in the home as long as now the income is there. So that's something else that I'm able to assist with.
That's super cool. So that was one of the things that I was wondering is the differences between loan modification, short sales, foreclosures. So obviously the loan modification, they stay in their home. So short sale versus foreclosure, can you describe like the main difference between the two? Obviously there's a lot less fees involved with foreclosure, as you
Right.
just said. There's no attorney involved, right?
Well, with the foreclosure. So the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure, a short sale is where the homeowner finds resolution. So with somebody like myself, a negotiator that gets involved, I'm able to negotiate a specific amount with the lender. So if a borrower, let's just say if they owe 500,000 on a property, it's really only worth 400,000, maybe there's issues in the home, I'm able to negotiate that down and get the lender to accept that 400,000 as payment in full. So when they receive the short sale approval letter, it will reflect at that 400 as payment in full. So the lender will not come after them for that deficiency amount. And at the time of closing, they're walking away free and clear.
Wow.
With a foreclosure, the lender will have the right to come after them, especially if there's, say, a second mortgage, a second lien holder, or a line of credit, and now the property goes to foreclosure. They can come after them. And there is just,
When you say come after them, talk to people about, because people oftentimes don't realize what that means. What do you mean by come after them?
oh, yeah, down the line, they can get served a judgment and they can be taken to court. Their wages can be garnished down the line. It's not just because, hey, I walked away from the house, I let it foreclose. It doesn't mean that your financial responsibility to that company has been extinguished. So that's what I think people fail to remember as well. And lots of times with the lines of credit, I see that with, or if there's a second mortgage, who they don't get anything from the mortgage insurance company, or if the property goes to an auction, that first lien holder is paid, not second positions or lines of credit. So that's where they will come after you. So with a short sale, you're walking away free and clear. If there is any judgments on the property, I negotiate those. Any type of lien is negotiated. I've even had clients where there's IRS liens attached to the property, and I'm able to negotiate and get the IRS to release the lien so that we can at least close.
Wow.
So that's a very big factor that a lot of homeowners, they'll reach out to me and say, listen, I've spoke with an attorney. I know you can't help me. I have IRS liens. Well, I can help you. And I do have contacts with the IRS where I'm able to reach out and we are able to negotiate. And also the big thing that I'm seeing now is SBA loans. So anyone who took out an SBA loan, there's liens there, especially if they're a business owner. So I'm able to get those released, not removed. There's, you still have that obligation to them, but at least I'm able to get them released so that we can close on the property.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a lot. There's a lot involved with the short sale. There's a lot of negotiating involved, but in the end, they're able to walk away free and clear. So that is the difference with a short sale. With a short sale, you can go and get a mortgage 2 years out. Work with a lot of mortgage brokers, and they can help 24 months after a short sale. So after we close, it's going to reflect typically within 30 days. It will report. And 24 months out, they can help get you into another mortgage if you wanted to, invest in real estate again. You get a foreclosure, you're not going to. Right? It's anywhere from like 5 to 7 years out. So you're not going to be able to invest in real estate again. It's going to hurt your score, and they can continue to come after you.
Wow.
So that's a major difference. You don't ever want the end solution to be a foreclosure.
Wow.
There's never really a reason to walk away from a property.
I think it's crazy. This literally just made me think, because I have a question for you. So obviously I look at credit reports all day, every day. The worst case involving foreclosure that I have ever seen, I had an individual who had 19 foreclosures on his credit report.
Wow.
He had a business partner using his name, opening up mortgages under his name that he never signed for. And they all got foreclosed on, every single property.
Wow.
And I have never in my life seen 19 foreclosures on a credit report. But my question for you is, what is a situation that you can think of that to you, to the client, you're like, I don't know about this one. But you ended up getting them out of the situation. And I'd love to hear one of your more challenging success stories.
I had a client there that had 4 mortgages.
Okay.
There was 4 mortgages and 2 IRS liens. And when I saw that, because it wasn't until we ran title, we found out more about the IRS liens. I had seen the mortgages. The borrower had actually passed away. So the family wanted to find closure with this property for the husband, the spouse that had passed, and they did not want to just let it go. And it was a very complicated short sale, but in the end, I was able to get the liens released for the closing, and all 4. There was 4. So there was actually two mortgages and then 2 lines of credit. So there's 4 liens on the property and then numerous judgments. And there were attorneys that had told them, just let it go. Just let it go. Let it foreclose. There is no way this will ever be resolved. And we closed. We did it. And
Oh
it was
my
funny because
gosh.
that same attorney who had said that, he had reached out to me and said, listen, Amanda, if you want to give this a try. And he was there at the closing table. He represented
Wow.
them for the sale. And we just all were super happy. But I was very proud of myself on that one because it was so complicated with all the different judgments and with the different mortgages. And the fact that the borrower had passed does make things a little bit more difficult getting things from probate court. But we did it. And that one I am very proud of. So they can be super complicated. It's not always easy.
Clearly.
And then at the end of the day, you have a buyer that's waiting to buy the property.
Hmm.
So time is of essence with everything.
Hmm.
And so you're moving along as quick as you can.
Hmm.
You don't want to lose the buyer who has the interest and keep everyone happy. And that's why it's very important that with the short sales that I work hand in hand, not only with the seller, but I also work with the buyer.
Hmm.
So the buyer has there's clear communication. They know exactly what's going on, what's to happen next, whether the lender is going to be ordering the broker's price opinion, the appraisal, what the value came in at. They may now need to counter to meet that minimum required net that the lender's looking for. So it's that open communication with all parties involved that makes short sales close. And that's why they have such a bad reputation. And people will say, oh, well, I've heard that they can be 9 months or a year and they're nightmares. They're only nightmares when you have the wrong person handling them.
Mm.
Because if you have an experienced negotiator handling the short sale, it can be done in a matter of 2 months, 60 days. I've had them where we're cleared and ready to close and the buyer isn't. So it's all about who's handling and who's negotiating on your behalf.
That's super cool. It
Yeah.
really is interesting because you hear all of these things about foreclosures.
Hmm.
So I actually was wondering, so I know that you do master classes.
Yes.
So who are you teaching?
So with the last master class, I'm also a realtor with
Hmm.
EXP. And so that was a nationwide master
Hmm.
class to all EXP agents nationwide. And so I can assist homeowners nationwide.
Hmm.
And so it was very nice to speak with agents so that they know how to assist a homeowner
Hmm.
when they are upside down. So they go and meet with a homeowner, they're looking to sell their property. Now they find out that they're upside down. What do they do? How do they properly go about listing the property and who can they reach out to so that it can work out? And in different states, the foreclosure litigation timing is different. New York State, it can last a year or more. Some states out west, it can be 6 months.
Hmm.
Down south, same thing, 4 to 6 months, and you're looking at an auction date. So time is always of essence, and you need to have an experienced negotiator helping. So with the real estate agents that I was teaching or hosting on that master class, I was able to advise like what to do. What do you do when you do come across a homeowner that's upside down, and how you can properly guide them to a proper negotiator to help them get out of the situation they're in.
Yeah, that's huge. That's I assume how you get most of your business is through other real estate agents, or do people?
It varies. I
Hmm.
do get a lot of business through other real estate
Hmm.
agents where they have a client, they're able to list the property
Hmm.
and I'm just the negotiator on
Hmm.
it, which works out great. I'll get in contact with their client and then we all work hand in hand. A lot are just from referrals. I've been doing this for so long that from previous clients, they know somebody who's in a hardship right now with their home and then they reach out. So it's been referral basis for over 20 years now, and I'm just trying to get the word out because I see it happening right now in the Hudson Valley. More Liz Pendens are being served, and I just feel that it's within the next year we're going to see more homeowners facing foreclosure. And I'm so blessed for this opportunity here with you today. And hopefully that somebody does hear this who's in need, and they are behind with their mortgage and they don't know what to do, because lots of times homeowners will run to an attorney or run and they think that they need to file a bankruptcy, when in reality there's other ways to go about it where it's not going to cost them and they can find proper resolution.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally we've referred business to you because honestly, when I see that on a credit report, I'm like, I'm not touching you. I won't touch you with a 10-foot pole. I'm like, you need to stop the bleeding. You need to
Yeah.
find someone to help you with this because you're in trouble. And so I love being able to pass people over to you as a resource. I'm so grateful for that because I remember even like, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'm looking at these credit reports and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, this is not a good situation. I can't take you on as a client, but I didn't have a resource. There is no worse feeling as a professional, at least for me, than to see someone floundering and not know where to send them. I had no idea. And I think it's such a great resource. At what point do you think people should start talking to you? Is it 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late? Like when?
Within that 60-day time frame,
Yeah.
absolutely, because you can be a month late and if they feel they're going to get caught up. But the 60 days is ideally when to reach out to me
Mm-hmm.
because it's before they're served that foreclosure summons. And right now, lenders used to serve at that 6-month mark, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it sooner. I'm seeing it within 4 months. So the sooner, especially if you know that the income isn't there, let's just say you just lost your job, you're going through savings, it's just a domino effect. Everything is falling behind. The sooner you reach out to me, the better off because then we
Yeah.
could just set up a game plan. And that's, yeah, I would definitely say at that 60 day, in between the 60 and 90-day mark, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. That's when somebody would want to reach out and open the mail and open the door when somebody comes to serve you because the more information you have about your pre-foreclosure, it's going to help me. So, but yeah, the sooner the better for sure. And then also with what you do with the credit repair, there's so many homeowners that's like, listen, once we find resolution
Mm-hmm.
with the mortgage
Mm-hmm.
and then with all the credit issues that you have after the fact, then you can go and see Micah
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll really be all restored.
Yeah.
So now you're finding resolution with the real estate aspect of things, and then you can go and work on your credit altogether. And
Mm-hmm.
I have seen borrowers or homeowners where they do find resolution and they're right back to being that 700, 800 borrower, and life goes on. And,
Life goes
it's
on.
not the end all be all. There
No.
is light at the end of the tunnel and there
Mm-hmm.
is a resolution. And that's why I just feel like so many people just don't realize that. And they
Mm-hmm.
feel like nobody ever expects that.
No.
And it does happen. And life, unfortunately, does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody becomes ill that they had never expected. There's a child in the hospital for months and months on end. Of course, they're out of work. They're standing, I've had clients bedside with their children in the hospital. Now they're out of work and the bills are just piling up. I have stories and stories. And at the end of the day, they're doing what's best for their family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so paying that mortgage or going to work or whatever the case may be, that's not what is ideal for them.
Yeah.
So everybody has a different story, but they always come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm very proud of what I do to be able to help people because I'll reach back out to them and I hear the stories and they're all situated, whether they moved down south or they're in a new home now, their credit's been repaired. And they say, you always said it would get better, that I would see the sunshine. And it's like, come on. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
can always be worse.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh, yeah.
always what I say. It can always be worse. Okay, you were served the foreclosure summons. Let's find resolution.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to hide in fear right now and close the blinds.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. Let's find resolution. You have a game plan. Because ultimately, when the mortgage lender sees that you are looking to cooperate, okay, you don't have the funds to pay it, but you are looking to find resolution,
Mm-hmm.
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
To just ignore the phone calls, to ignore the mailing, to just wait and get served and just ignore everything, that's when there's going to be consequences behind it. And unfortunately, that's where it can end in like a sheriff's eviction. And nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that, especially when there's children involved, when you have pets that need to be relocated. There's always
Oh.
a good way to go about it. But, there are those homeowners that reach out to me and they have the large families
Mm-hmm.
and they have pets and we're able to find proper relocation because they reach out to me so early on.
Yeah.
And that's the key. They don't have to get rid of their pets. Everything can just be, relocated
Mm-hmm.
basically, and
Mm-hmm.
then we can make it work.
I love that. I think it keeps resounding over and over and over to me. Proactive, proactive,
Yes.
proactive. Just face the music.
Yes.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, avoidance is the surest short-term strategy to absolute and utter failure.
That's
And
right.
we tell people, do not avoid it. Like you said, check the mail, take the paperwork. I mean, it's like, I can't tell you how many people we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's like, don't you check your mail? I'm like, no, it just gives me too much anxiety. Okay, well, now the situation is what it is now, and
Right.
it's 10 times worse than if you had dealt with this 10 months ago.
That's right.
And so I love, because part of what I wanted to ask you is, how can we avoid getting to this extreme situation? And you're saying it loud and clear. Just be proactive and prepare.
Yes.
Prepare for what may or may not happen. And one of the guests that I had on my podcast, she talked about preparedness and she went through the unthinkable. Her husband was in a horrific accident while she was pregnant with her child. And had she not been financially prepared, then catastrophe would have hit her and her family, because it's like it was the complete unexpected.
Yes.
And so I think, I mean, for me, this has really opened my eyes, because I always wondered, what kind of situations people face that causes them to get into these situations. And it's usually something you just didn't expect. It's not like, all of a
Yes.
sudden one day you just threw your hands up and said, forget it, I'm not paying my bills. It's like life happened. And like we tell this to people every single day. And I think it's a great thing that you're teaching so many people, about this topic, because it's a home. And like you said, a home can be replaced.
Yes, that's right. A home can be replaced.
Yeah.
And I've really never met anybody out of the hundreds and hundreds of short sales that I've done and negotiated. I've never met anybody who had just said, hey, I have the funds and I just don't want to pay it. There's
Yeah.
always a life event. And
Yeah.
sometimes, if it comes down to it, instead of paying the mortgage, they need to use that money to set aside for relocation.
Yeah.
Because why continue to pay it at that point if you know you're just going to continue to fall under?
Yeah.
So that's where a proper financial analysis takes place, and I can see what's going on, what's coming in monthly. Are they going to be able to afford it? Clearly, if they can't that time. But right now, with an average household, you're seeing that you do need, if not two incomes to help, especially if they're larger families. And all of a sudden, the loss of an income with one person, it's a domino effect, because you have to be able to feed your children and you have to be able to keep the lights on and the hot water. So what is one of the first things that's going to stop being paid is the mortgage. So I see it all too often. Amanda, the cost with groceries and my electric. And so they're focused on the priority things, keeping the house afloat. But ultimately, it's like a volcano. So let's figure it out. What's going to make sense?
Yeah.
And some homeowners at this time, there is some equity. So it's not in a short sale position. So they now have lost the income. They know that they can't afford to keep paying it, but then there might be income, or I'm sorry, equity. So then at that point, that's ideal to do what's called as a quick sale. Hurry up, get it on the market, and then walk away with some of the equity.
Wow.
And then you can use that to put down on something else or whatever the case may be. But the longer you wait, the arrears grows and you're going to lose that equity.
Wow.
So I've had that happen recently too. Hey, listen, you have about 150,000 in equity right now. You haven't paid in 2 months, but let's hurry up and get it priced to sell. Let's get an offer and close within the next 30 days so that you can walk away with that money. So, because if you wait and get served a foreclosure summons, that's going to take away from that equity, and all these past arrears will eat away at that equity as well. So that's another situation that I've been seeing as well. Let's just hurry up, get it on the market, and do a quick sale.
I love this. So we have quick sale, we have loan modifications, then we have short sale, and then we have foreclosure.
Right.
This is so really, there's actually a couple of things I didn't know. And I've been in this business for a very long time. I did not know quick sales were a thing.
Yes.
So now I do.
Yes. So
Wow.
that's very common, and you price it to sell. So the realtor is pricing it at market value or maybe even a little bit lower. You're not putting it out in left field waiting to see if somebody might offer that. You need to sell it like yesterday. So that's what a quick sale is. And it will drive in an offer right away, and then you close within a quick under 30 days. As long as title can be expedited, and then you close, and now you're walking away with that equity. So
Wow.
here you thought, okay, I can't afford the property, and now you're walking away
The
with those
chunk.
funds. Yes. And
Wow.
that's what a lot of people they don't understand. So I just spoke with somebody the other day, same situation. There's equity there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I said. Start going through the house and cleaning it up because we need to get it listed ASAP
Yeah.
because I don't want to see you lose out on that equity.
Wow.
And so that's another opportunity for homeowners right now as
That's
well, because it's
amazing.
not going to stay like that. And that's what a
Sure.
lot of people don't understand. The more short sales are listed at fair market value.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you have short sales listed on the market, that it doesn't matter what they're listed at. Ultimately, it's what the lender will accept.
Mm-hmm.
So if the lender will accept less, that's what the agent has it listed for. So ultimately, it could drive down the values. And so when you have a market that is flooded with short sales, that's what you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it pull down the values.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why with somebody who wants to do a quick sale, you're going to get that offer
Mm-hmm.
because it's not out there waiting to see if somebody is going to offer that amount or not. So that's the
Interesting.
difference. And I monitor all these surrounding counties right now. I monitor how many Liz pendants are being filed,
What do you
and it
call it?
is
It's Liz
Liz
pendants?
pendants.
Okay.
That's the term for a foreclosure summons.
Okay.
So a foreclosure, when a homeowner is officially in foreclosure, a Liz pendants will be filed.
Mm.
So I can look at the different counties within Dutchess, Ulster, Westchester, and it's growing. So we're
Wow.
going to start seeing more and more of those. So keeping in mind, these are going to be pre-foreclosures. These are going to be the short sales that are listed on the market. And there's more that gets in detail with realtors. Most short sales are listed as is. As a buyer, you're not getting credits for things that you come about in an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as a homeowner listing a short sale, you are protected. Not only with the verbiage in the contract that it is as is and all subject to lender approval, you're protected because you don't have to do things to the property
Mm-hmm.
with the buyer. If they come in and there's a hole in the roof, you're not obligated to fix that.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that a lot of homeowners I come across, well, I don't have the means to fix my house to
Right.
sell it. And that's one thing that they need to understand is you can just list it as is. It doesn't matter. And especially in today's housing market, there will be a buyer that will
Mm-hmm.
buy it, even with the hole in the roof. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So I would actually love, because we were having a conversation
Hmm.
before we actually started recording,
Hmm.
and I love that you've been in real estate for as long as you have. And I would love for you to just share a little bit of your expertise because not only do you specialize in such a niche product, but you're also a real estate agent and you see so much of what is going on today. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about just the state of the market today and where you expect it to be maybe in the next 6 to 12 months.
So right now, I'm seeing that it is definitely turning into more of a buyer's market
Mm-hmm.
right now, where
Mm-hmm.
it was such a seller's market for
Mm-hmm.
so long. Sellers could list a little bit higher, and they were getting that. You're starting to see a lot more price drops.
Mm-hmm.
Homes are definitely starting to sit a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong, in different price ranges and depending on where they're located in the school districts, if they're in a desirable area, they are going not as quick, but they're still moving.
Mm-hmm.
But for most homes out there right now, they are lasting on the market a lot longer, and there are price drops.
Mm-hmm.
And buyers coming in, they do have the upper hand where they can ask for certain things or credit
Mm-hmm.
because that seller's already been on the market, say for 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to lose the buyer, and so they are more apt to give a credit where let's go back a year from now, I was representing a buyer. We were doing inspections for informational purposes only. So there's definitely a shift in the market. You're seeing homes sit a little bit longer. Buyers are getting a little bit more savvy. They are seeing more properties. They're just not diving into the first or putting offers in the first home that they see or two homes. And what I see to come is that there's going to be a lot of price drops.
Mm-hmm.
The market is going to start dropping down to what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel like even as a realtor and I represent a lot of first-time home buyers, and I'm very honest with these buyers, because at the end of the day, I don't want to see them come into to be a future short sale client.
Exactly.
So they have to really understand with that interest rate and that monthly mortgage payment, and to understand that it's a home, that the boiler may go, and that there's going to be repairs. And so if you look at an average mortgage payment now on, say, a $400,000 house today to what it was compared to, say, 5-6 years ago, it's a huge difference by the thousands. So I see it.
Thousands?
Thousands.
A month?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So so a lot of first time home buyers, especially, they're being a little bit more hesitant because with the interest rates, and they're seeing with what their monthly mortgage payment is going to be. And so with the market, I feel that just seeing the wave with the Liz Pennants to come, you're going to get more sellers that are going to price it to sell. And that's what we need more in this market right now, is homes priced to sell. If you have a homeowner that's not in a rush to sell, they're okay with listing it high and waiting to see with what happens. So I definitely see the values I definitely see values coming down, even right up by fall, winter time for sure.
Yeah. I love that you spoke so much about being prepared for home ownership. And it's interesting. I was actually listening to one of my mentors speak about this, and they were like, home ownership isn't what it used to be. And so many people are being pushed out of home ownership because it's just too expensive. And where it used to be like the American dream, like people are just priced out of it. And it would be great to see people not priced out of it anymore. And I think it would be great to see that shift again, because it is a little bit overwhelming to see how much, like, we can't keep up with this inflation. I mean, it's become so exorbitant. I mean, I don't even know how we could ever possibly keep up with, where things are going. So I hope that you're right.
Yeah, I mean, something has to give.
Something has to give.
Like
I hope you're right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, even on the other end of things, representing first-time home buyers, I want to make sure that they're fully aware.
Yeah.
Because life happens, and when they're in
does.
the home, you're going to need those repairs. You want to make sure that you have those reserves set aside. And just seeing some of the projected monthly payments, I mean, what used to be maybe $1,900 to $2,000 is now almost $4,500. And to be getting into that, and that's before the electric is paid, and you get your Wi-Fi connected, and your groceries, and any other expense, and it's just crazy when I see that.
Yeah. And that's if you have good credit.
Exactly. If you have good credit.
Yeah.
And no, let's say if you have great credit, okay? Because even if it's good, it's just these numbers. And with what I'm seeing, it's just, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom, paying that much per month, and everyone is different. And so to go back with what you're saying, that American dream of home ownership, and something has to give. Something has to give where it is more affordable. And it's unfortunate right now, because not only do we have the rental market right now is so high, where renters are saying, well, hey, I might as well go pay a mortgage payment, but something has to give, because, even right now, like with homeowners insurance, that's increased drastically for people. So it's just, everything seems to be increasing, but that's why. So you want to be proactive. You don't want to be that first time home buyer jumping into a property where that's a majority of your income. That is the mortgage payment, because you will down the road, gosh forbid something happens financially, or you're out of work, medical reasons, it's going to set you to being a future pre-foreclosure client. And that's why I'm very big on making sure that everybody is prepared for those what ifs, and having a reserve set aside. It's just so important when even considering home ownership. So it's important to have those closing costs set aside, right? You need to be able to afford to get in the home, but you also need to be prepared to carry the home once you're in there. It's just not all about buying the furniture. You need to be prepared should anything change. And taxes, that's a big thing. Taxes are going up. So I see so many homeowners that are on fixed income, and they can't afford to pay that increase, even with the taxes. And I try and always mentor a little bit with first-time home buyers and let them know, when you see that increase with the taxes, pay the shortage. Pay the difference. You'll get that bill showing the difference in your taxes. Pay that. Don't let your monthly mortgage increase, because that's going to change everything. There's ways to be kind of proactive, even as a homeowner, with just the daily increases of things, or annually, I should say, with the taxes, because
That's,
everyone's seeing that right now.
oh, yeah. My husband and I got the notice in the mail maybe 6 months ago. We're like, oh, okay. you know? But, and that's the thing is when we look at credit reports every single day, people don't open their mail. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden they're coming to us because they're like, well, my monthly payment changed and I didn't know.
Right.
And again, that comes down to be proactive.
Yeah.
Open your mail. I don't care if it
Yes.
gives you anxiety. Open your freaking mail.
Yes. Exactly. Because in reality, you did get that
You
notice
did get
maybe
that
4 or 5
notice.
months ago.
And they probably sent you more than one because we've
Yes.
gotten many, 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 many. And I love that you are very unique in the way where I feel like a lot of people, because I deal with a lot of realtors, a lot of lenders, that's my niche. And I feel like I meet a lot of people that are just in it for the sale. And they don't, and you sit on the opposite side of
Right.
what happens after the sale if things go awry. And oftentimes I see people who just maybe they don't even want to know what happens to the buyer if things don't go well. But I see people get approved for homes, and this is what I always tell people, just because you're approved for it doesn't mean you should take it.
And that you can afford it. That's right.
Yes.
That is such a good point.
Yes.
And I see that all so often too. They get the pre-approval and, hey, Amanda, let's go shopping.
Yeah.
And they don't realize. And that's why I always say with the preferred lenders that I work with, and did you run that monthly payment down?
Yep.
And it's been 2, 3 months. The interest rates have increased. So let's run this scenario by on this purchase price with these taxes. And then they'll come back to me and say, that's, Amanda, that's really going to be pushing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be able to go anywhere, have any vacations. And then you have to really lay it out to them. Is that really what you want?
Right.
Because let's do something that makes sense. So to go back to with what you're saying, no, it's not about the sale for me. I want to make sure at the end of the day that my clients that are getting into the property, that they are happy and that they do feel confident that they made the right choice. I don't want a client 6 months down the line, oh my gosh, why did we buy this house? We really can't afford it. Because it happens. It happens all the time. And I never want to be on that end of things. So
Yeah.
that's why it's also very important as a realtor that I am going through, but they have a clear understanding of what that mortgage at the end of the day is going to cost them.
I think
Because
that's
that's
so
very,
invaluable.
very important.
Yeah. And I think it's great that there's someone like you to guide them. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that even understand it themselves, whether it's realtors or lenders, because I teach all over the country as far as how it works.
Yes.
And the amount of realtors that don't understand how it works and they find themselves in the same situation, and even lenders. And it's a people problem, right? I just feel
Yes.
like we have to take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves. And I love that you are such an empowering resource for individuals. I wanted to ask you if someone is, and there's actually a couple of things wrapped into this last question I have for you, but you've talked about it before, how this is such an emotional process for all involved. You, the buyer, the client, like everybody involved is very emotional. The person that you're sitting across from, going through probably one of the most devastating times in their life, and they haven't met you yet, what would you say to that person who is going through something so stressful, so emotional, so overwhelming? What would you say to that individual? Emotions are high, things are crazy. What would you say to that individual?
Just pick up the phone and call me. That's the best I can always say because I can vouch for life happens and I know. And I don't really think I've ever met anybody that has said their whole life has just been rainbows and butterflies, right? I mean, we live life and depending on your beliefs, right? You have your daily faith that whatever obstacle that you're facing, that you're going to get through it. But at the end of the day, you should never have any fear of any judgment, especially coming from me during such a hard time that you're going through. I'm just ready to talk to anybody. Life happens, and I've heard it all. Everybody is different. And I'm always there to just be a resource. And things do get emotional at times, but that's where my purpose comes into play. And I want to be that guidance for that person. And I want to help lead them to that light at the end of the tunnel because most homeowners that come to me, they just feel like they're under a black cloud and there's no way. They're not walking out, they're trying to crawl out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm going to guide them. And that's what I do best. Just follow my lead, just listen to my advice and let me guide you out of it. So, to get back to your question, the best advice I could say is just pick up the phone and call me,
Mm-hmm.
because I can almost guarantee you that I've heard similar, or if not worse, to your story. And you're a human, you're an average everyday person going through an obstacle,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're entitled to have your bad days. And, I'm sure it's a very unfortunate circumstance, but let's help find the resolution. Let's help find the answer for you. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's not right away. Sometimes somebody will call me and I know they're on the verge of being served, and we just set it up because they need the time. They need the time to set the monies aside. There's children in the home, and we just set up that game plan. And that's also another thing I want everybody to understand. It doesn't mean that you're just going to call me and then the house is going to be on the market or right away. Everybody has a different game plan that we work out mutually that's going to make sense for you and your family. And maybe the kids need to finish school or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I work to what's going to suit your family the best,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, your family is the one living through this.
Mm-hmm.
And so any buyer that comes into play, they have to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's most important. I want to make it as most comfortable for you and your family as possible. And that's really just the best thing I can say. Just, pick up the phone and call me, and just understand that I'm going to be understanding of your circumstances, because I can't tell you I've ever had anybody tell me that everything is going great and their home is in foreclosure. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a story, and life happens, but it's just so beautiful at the end when we're at that closing, or when they're walking away from it and they're just so happy,
Mm-hmm.
or when they're calling me and now they're all situated in a new home, the kids are starting school, and everyone's happy, because there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I tell everybody. And faith is a big factor throughout this too. And I've had homeowners where they just really think it is the end, and I just tell them, listen, do you believe that? If that's what you believe, then that could be the case, because you have to have faith. Faith
Yeah.
is what is going to get you through this.
Yeah.
And you have to believe and understand that I somehow came across your path and I'm here to help you. And there's been many times where it's not for me. I'll walk away just knowing that I was able to help that family. And that's when I realized, like, that's my purpose in life. It's just not, real estate is a little bit different. It's more transactional,
Yep.
where foreclosure prevention, your heart is involved.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more emotion involved, and you're helping that family. And that's what brings me peace in doing that. That's where I know I was meant to do this. And it turned into this 20 years ago. And I still to this day have people calling me and they're saying, do you have a minute? Because I've got a long story. And if I'm driving, whatever the case may be, okay, let me pull over. I'm ready. And they tell me, and lots of times I get I'm so sorry. No, don't be sorry.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to be sorry about.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's set up a game plan here for you so
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't foreclose, and so that you can move away peacefully, with your family, so the kids aren't uprooted out of the school or whatever the case may be. And that's what's most important, is making it a peaceful transition out of the home with the family.
Wow. To say that you are a special woman is an understatement.
Oh,
And I didn't know the magnitude. It's just you hear the stories, but this is amazing to sit next to you and beside you, and to hear you speak about what you do with such passion and conviction. And I mean, you're so authentic, and I love that you feel called and pulled. I've always called what I do a vocation, a calling. And I love that you're on that same trajectory and that path, because your clients can feel it. They know when you're in alignment with your purpose.
absolutely.
I love that. And I can't express enough how many people are going to need you indefinitely. And so I hope that so many people find you through this podcast. And before we wrap up, what is the best way to reach out to you and to find you?
The best way they can call me. My phone number is 845-891-9639. They can, on social media, on Instagram, Amanda Wilcox 1. and I'm also on Facebook. But the best way is to honest, just call me. They can text me, but my phone is on me all the time, and I'm very personable. So I
Yes
just
to
feel,
that.
yes. So just call me, and we can just take it from there. And I just want to thank you so much for having me on
Yes.
here. You are a powerful woman, and you
Thank you.
are in your purpose. And it's so nice to align with somebody like you. And I'm just really happy to be here. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
I wouldn't imagine not having you here. I told you, I was like literally one night in bed, I was like, Amanda. It was one of those
And I was so
moments.
happy when
Yeah.
you reached out.
Yeah.
I said, oh, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really thankful you were able to make this happen. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I am Micah Smith. I'm the host of Rebuild and Rise. Until next time.